All right, Dexter Original Sin, Code Blues, Season 1, Episode 10, Finale. I just got to watch it last night. It came out yesterday. I was so excited and have been loving this show. Dexter, the original show with Michael C. Hall, is my favorite TV show of all time. So even I was a little hesitant about this show at first. I knew it was getting a prequel, it was getting a sequel, and then a spin-off, and I was like, are they overdoing it? Is it getting oversaturated? Um, and I was a little worried that they were doing too much. I had faith when they hired Sarah Michelle Gellar. I was very intrigued, but I really didn't know what this new cast was going to bring, and they have brought it. And I have been so impressed. All right, let's go. I've been so impressed with the entire cast, and they've just been absolutely wonderful. Especially Patrick Gibson, who has impressed me so much. He really put in the work to embody Michael C. Hall's Dexter, and has done such a pitch perfect job. Everyone else is terrific. They're it feels like they're doing their own thing a little bit, and doing a good job too at their kind of impressions of the characters they're playing. But dude, just Patrick Gibson is on a whole nother level. Like, it's getting to the point where when Michael C. Hall narrates, I keep thinking it's Patrick Gibson, and vice versa. Like, they've just become one to me. He just I couldn't believe how well he did. But anyways, I just wanted to give an upfront overall review before I get into spoilers, which we are going to spoil and break down. So if you guys are not caught up with Dexter Original Sin, Season 1, Episode 10, please stop watching, as we are going to dive into spoilers in 3, 2, 1. All right, so I didn't expect to get an opening flashback of Brian Moser. Sorry, I forgot his last name. And I thought it was going to be like it kind of was for a second, but I was like, oh, whoa, he's like narrating, and it's like his perspective of everything that happened, and so he's like Dexter, and we're inside Brian's head. But it ended up being he was just talking to his therapist while kind of going over these memories, which was still cool. I liked getting to see more of Brian, and getting to see kind of his side of things, which I appreciated. Meanwhile, Dexter's still chasing Patrick Dempsey, Spencer, who leads him to Nikki's location. Nikki, yeah, and which is on a boat, big boat, like an abandoned, huge ship. But I love that Dexter is just 10 steps ahead. You know, the way in the last episode how he planned that whole thing for him to leave and think he's escaping, but really Dexter's just using him to lead him to Nikki, which I love. You know, classic Dexter. Meanwhile, Deb and Harry are kind of looking over. Is it Bobby, who was shot in the neck, and visiting with his wife and staying there to take care of him and keep an eye out on him. Although LaGuerta comes in and lets him know, like, hey, there's been a lead on this serial killer, aka Brian, and so he's got to go. And Deb stays behind and watches Bobby, which is very sweet. I love the hunt of Dexter tracking down Spencer in that ship. It was so cool, and just I love that set. You know, it added a real cool element to that whole sequence. Meanwhile, what's his name? Harry finds the chainsaw kill and immediately knows it's Brian and starts kind of freaking out. And he goes outside and happens to see Brian kind of overlooking the crime scene, who we find out is looking for Dexter. And so Harry kind of tries to sneak up behind him. Meanwhile, the fight continues. I was kind of surprised that Spencer was kind of kicking Dexter's ass. I was like, dude, this guy's like super old. Maybe Dexter's still like weak from getting too much blood drawn in the last episode. But yeah, the dad starts to drown his own son. Even Dexter calls him out for it, and a very human speech of trying to save not just Nikki, but he was trying to save Spencer in a way. And such good writing, and I love this character so much. And when he asks, like, what kind of monster are you, and Spencer goes, what kind of monster are you? Are you gonna chase me, or are you gonna save the kid? And Dexter makes the human decision of saving Nikki, of course, and in a very heroic manner. It was very beautiful, and a reminder why I love this character so much. And so he ends up shooting a flare to kind of take care of Nikki getting rescued. Meanwhile, Deb has a very heartfelt scene with Bobby, who's still in a coma, and she really just kills that scene and really summarizes what she's been going through, and gives you a reason to hope for her having a better future, which we sadly know her future, but it's still, exciting for her to be able to start going in the cop direction and joining the family team. Meanwhile, Harry's got Brian at gunpoint, who they also have a really intense conversation, and both had really good points, but Brian really kind of nailed it in the coffin for what he said to Harry, so much so that Harry couldn't even kill him. And so Brian takes advantage of that and knocks him out. Meanwhile, what's his name? Spencer goes after his frickin' wife and takes down her current husband. And I think we find out that it wasn't actually his kid. And it was maybe that guy's kid. And she lied to him, I guess. But he was just freaking out and going right for her. Even admitting that he killed or kidnapped Nikki and shit like that. Thankfully, Dexter's there with his needle and gets him finally. And wakes up on Dexter's boat, which he has him strapped to in plastic on the back of his boat. Or it's somebody else's boat, Slice of Pie. I forget whose boat it is. But I love that he was doing the kill on the boat, and then he could instantly just throw him into the water afterwards. I was like, damn, I'm surprised. I don't remember ever seeing Dexter in the other show do that. Maybe once, but I don't remember them wrapping them in plastic on the boat, to the boat. That was pretty cool. If I'm remembering incorrectly, please remind me down below. But yeah, dude, took him out with that machete. That machete shot with the reflection was gorgeous. Like, this episode was just top notch in every department. The acting, the writing, the cinematography was just insane. Loved the sets and the production design for this episode too. But yes, Dexter just takes him right out with that machete sword and dumps him right in the ocean. Which I was glad we got to see at least one of those before, going in. I into the next, show, because that's what we know him for. When he gets home, he sees Harry, who's kind of just reeling over everything that happened. He's watching the news where the kid admitted that it was Spencer or his dad that had kidnapped him. And Harry apologizes to Dexter and says, "I should have listened to you." And Dexter was like, "Well, it's a good thing I didn't listen to you." Um, and I just like that he opened up and was talking about everything, and about how Spencer wasn't a monster at first and then became a monster, whereas Dexter was born a monster, even though he doesn't even really know why he was born a monster yet. But very, very good scene between those two. They did a wonderful job. Meanwhile, back at the office, LaGuerta overhears Harry and Batista talking about how he's like, "Don't tell her, but like she wasn't really any serial killer. It's nothing like to look at," because he's trying to hide Brian, which is super sus and could be a huge reason why they don't love each other in the other show. But I'm getting the feeling we're gonna get a season 2, which I believe was confirmed that they're gonna continue. We get to see Buffy, or Sarah Michelle Gellar's character. God dang it, what is her name? Tanya gives the badge and hires him. No longer an intern. Very exciting. The only problem I had with this episode was maybe not enough Buffy. Honestly, I kind of had that issue with the whole show. She was very much a background character and felt a little bit underutilized. I still loved her, but I just wanted more. That last shot of Dexter spinning in his chair and spinning perfectly and stops and looks at the camera, I love that. And then the last scene of them getting to have Cubanos together was so cute. And dude, every time Dexter eats, it gets me hungry. But it was so sweet watching them just get to be together, and Deb starts dancing, and Dexter and Harry have a sweet conversation about how, hey, it's not my code anymore, it's yours. And how it kind of saved him, and Harry's pointing out, like, you made the right decision with Nikki. You could have gone after Spencer, but you chose to save somebody over your own personal urges. And it was such a beautiful reminder of why I love this show, why I love this character, and why it's one of my favorites. I love, the original Dexter show came out the same time as Breaking Bad. And I remember those two shows were competing, but I loved the difference of those two shows was Walter White was kind of like Spencer in a way, who wasn't a monster at first, but the show was about him breaking bad and breaking monster and turning into something he never imagined he could be, and getting to a point, probably getting to a point of becoming somebody he didn't want to be. And Dexter was the opposite. And that's kind of what I loved about those two shows. I love Dexter way more than I do Breaking Bad. I'm not even that obsessed with Breaking Bad. But Dexter being born this monster, and he's trying to learn how to become more human and become a good person. And sure, there's some back and forths, and I'm not really including New Blood necessarily. But really, this show, Original Sin and Dexter, really hone in on that theme, which I love, and makes it all the more relatable. We're all trying to be a better person, a better human being. And God, I just love this show so much. This show has no right to be this good. I didn't expect this prequel to hit as hard as the original show. And it's one of my favorite things I've watched in the last few months, in a long time, honestly. So, made me realize how much I miss Dexter and that character, and gives me faith for future renditions of the sequel, the John Lithgow spinoff, Trinity spinoff. The writing is so good. If they keep the same writers, like I know it's gonna be good. It makes me actually want to go back and watch Dexter New Blood because I only watched that once. Um, but yeah, it's one of my favorite things. Sorry, I kind of got distracted, but yeah, no, just seeing them dance at the end and Deb getting them to mingle with her was so beautiful, and then it got so creepy with Brian watching them, and that's what it ends on. But oh, what do you guys think? Like, what could Harry have done to save Brian? Or do you think Brian was savable? Should he have just kept working with him and trying to get past his violent urges, or do the same thing he did with Dexter? I wonder. It'd be cool if Dexter did like a what if series, but he's my superhero. He's just as good as any other Marvel or DC character. They even do the Dark Defender episode and in the other show. Like, he's the perfect vigilante, a serial killer who only kills serial killers. I love that. It's crazy good, crazy good. Cannot wait for more. I'm gonna miss this show. Although I do believe we are getting a second season. I know it's going to probably be after the Dexter sequel, which they're filming right now, with Michael C. Hall, who just added fucking Peter Dinklage, and it has Uma Thurman. Like, what is this cast? It's insane. They've been hiring just these fire bitches. I love it. But no, I can't say anything else like that I can think of that doesn't praise. It's just, I want to praise this show more and more. But it's hard for me to think, like, would people who aren't fans of the original show, like, is this an in for them, or is this like real niche for Dexter fans? I'm so in the Dexter world that it's hard for me to see objectively, like, is this a show that would get people into Dexter, or is this show only for Dexter fans? That's kind of what I'm worried about, and like, I don't see a lot of people talking about it because I feel like only Dexter fans are watching it. And to be honest, I don't see why someone who isn't a Dexter fan would want to check this show out. But it is the beginnings. It could work as like an in for new audiences. What I'm curious, if it was able to do that for anybody. But let me know what you guys thought of this show. I'm so glad I got to check it out. I'm so glad they made it. I need to stop because I'm just over praising it. But yes, incredible. Real quick, if anyone's watching, I would love to get your guys' opinion. Like, if I did a list of my favorite TV shows of 2024 or 2025, where would Dexter Original Sin fall into? Because it started in 2024 and ends in 2025. A couple other shows did that this year, and I wasn't really sure how to categorize it. Do they get both? Do they get to be both in the 2024 list and the 2025 list? Because in a way, I feel like it should, because it was kind of right down the middle, at least for Dexter. If it was a different show, maybe if it was just like, let's say, all the episodes except for the last one premiered in 2025, then maybe I would have kept them as a 2024 show. But anyways, if anyone's watching, I would love to get your opinion on which one I should put it in. But if it was in both lists, it would be at the top of both lists. Like, oh, it's amazing. Anyways, again, thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear what you guys thought of Dexter Original Sin, the entire show, the finale. Let me know down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more. And I hope you guys Have a wonderful, wonderful day.